back over here, an illegal foreigner who used his position as a youth soccer coach to drug the young boys in his care and sexually abuse them while they were unconscious, was given a lengthy prison sentence for his crimes. 66-year-old Camilo Campos Hurtado, a national of Mexico, and not our problem, but whose imprisonment we will be paying for, was in fact given a 30-year prison sentence, along with a theoretical 5 years of supervised release after that, for his conviction of raping several unconscious boys that he had incapacitated, who were all between the ages of 9 and 17 years old, which he did between 2017 and 2021. And he recorded the rapes. According to the local news channel, WKRN, the only reason that people found out what he was doing to their kids was because an employee at a pizza shop in Franklin, Tennessee, found Campos Hurtado's cell phone after he accidentally left it behind. And that was when the employee found dozens of, quote, unconscionable videos and pictures of children on the device. That employee, of course, reported the horrors that he had seen, thank God. And the Justice Department said that when police began investigating, they found years of child sexual exploitation. Several search warrants were executed on Campos Hurtado's home and car. And there they found even more electronic devices containing child sexual abuse material, otherwise known as child pornography, along with falsified, fraudulent immigration documents and ID for this illegal pedophile rapist. I am going to keep saying it until people begin to comprehend it. People who do not have a problem breaking laws do not have a problem breaking laws. I know it's really hard to wrap our minds around that one, but it seems pretty simple to me. The forensic analysis of Campos Hurtado's devices found that he had been producing, again I say producing, child sexual abuse material since at least January 13th of 2013. The convictions for which he just received 30 years in prison only cover his activities between 2017 and 2021. So 5 years worth of crimes against children has still to be accounted for. On June 17th, 2025, he pled guilty to 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, 1 count of receiving child sexual abuse material, 1 count of using or possessing fraudulent immigration documents, and 1 count of possessing an identification document or authentication feature that was stolen or produced without lawful authority. As the U.S. Attorney Braden Busek, I'm not sure which way you pronounce it, said in a statement after sentencing, Camilo Campos Hurtado preyed on children, rendering his victims incapable of resisting, recorded his horrific crimes, and concealed his true identity through fraudulent immigration and identification documents while remaining unlawfully in the United States. The Department of Justice has no higher priority than protecting children from sexual exploitation. Those who abuse children, produce or collect child sexual abuse material or exploit our immigration system to facilitate their crimes will be identified, prosecuted, and held fully accountable. I do not understand a single person out there who is against that. I really do not. The prosecution had requested 50 years for this pedo child rapist, but he only got 30. After his sentence is complete, if he survives that long, as someone who is already 66 years old, Campos Hurtado is expected to rightly face deportation out of here, back to his own home country of Mexico, to be their problem, as he should be to begin with. The Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Lauren Biss, stated, "This child predator will now be behind bars for 30 years. If he is ever released, ICE will immediately remove him from the country. He will never again harm another child in our country." How can you possibly oppose that? How? On what freaking grounds? And think you're the good guy by protecting the pedo over the child that's been raped. It boggles the frickin' mind. And while we're on the subject of immigration and foreign pedos that apparently some people out there actually do think we need to import here, in a follow-up to last week's story, which I would encourage you to go listen to, about the serious child predator that Tim Walz and his cronies in Minnesota pardoned for rape in order to keep him from being deported for that unbelievably serious crime. That did not stop his deportation, thanks to our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who announced on Friday that he had revoked the once again legal status, thanks to Tim Walz and his cronies, of this pedophile rapist from Laos, Tao Lu Vang, who was convicted of repeatedly raping a 10-year-old little girl, resulting in his deportation by ICE. Once again, I don't even understand on what grounds you can oppose that. Posting, as of today, he has been removed from the United States. Because of our action, this foreign criminal will never pose a threat to any American ever again. Americans must never be forced by their elected leaders to live alongside foreign sex criminals who have no right to begin with to reside in our country. This administration will always stand with the American people and defend them from violent criminals. Nevertheless, never let it be forgotten that the Democrat Party, as represented by their governor, Tim Walz, by their Attorney General, Keith Ellison, and by their state Supreme Court Chief Justice, Natalie Hudson, actually rushed in to pardon Vang for raping a child repeatedly, just days before he was set to be deported for it, in a specific effort to keep him here. They are so insane that they are actually willing to endanger their neighbors' kids in order to keep even this kind of foreigner from being deported. And that should never be forgotten, that that's where they're at. I would remind you that this man who repeatedly raped a 10-year-old little girl didn't even deny it. He defended it to the police as being a cultural thing. And then he tried to get the police to arrest the little girl that he had raped, blaming her. He was entirely unrepentant every step of the way. And yet he received a very lenient sentence for his very serious crime because, according to the New York Times, his child victim was pressured by her own family not to cooperate with the prosecution. So no one has been looking out for this child at any point in this process. Everyone has been trying to protect her adult male rapist, including all of the local Democrat politicians, one of whom was put forward to be the next vice president of this country by his party. There has been a deportation order out on this guy ever since October 31st of 2006, after his conviction. That was when his legal status was revoked. And this was not a one-off deal. This is a pattern in the Democrat Party, especially in Minnesota. The same Minnesota politicians that did this have also unjustifiably tried to shield other serious criminals from being deported away from their vulnerable neighbors. They're not standing up for people who've never done anything besides enter this country illegally. They are standing up for this, acting as though it has to be all or nothing when it doesn't. They're choosing to make it all or nothing because these are the people they want to defend at the expense of children. Children who've been raped. They want to endanger more children. That is how cult brainwashed they are. That is how insane they are. These are their priorities, and they make that completely clear with every decision that they make in office. When someone tells you who they are over and over, believe them. If you don't, you are a moron. I'm sorry, I'm over it. I'm over it when children are being raped and our elected leaders are trying to protect the rapist. On May 27th of this year, the same board with the same people that I just mentioned pardoned Jai Vang, another illegal from Laos, with felony convictions for robbery and the armed robbery with a gun of one of our neighbors' businesses, as well as having convictions for endangering everyone by driving drunk on the streets of the country that took him in. But to take that to this level and actually use every trick in the book, including pardoning a grown man for rape, in order to keep a habitual, unrepentant child rapist from being deported, really tells you something about the unhinged thinking of the Democrat Party at this point. These are their priorities. Protect a foreign pedophile over a raped child. And unless those are your priorities too, I suggest that you vote the other way, because nothing short of being bitch slapped in the face by the American people will make the Democrat Party moderate. And we do need a two-party system in this country. But I refuse to vote for a party that is this insane, and you should too.